games, they started off real slow. That would not benefit them with San Francisco, because I know that Cal has learned from his previous experience in the Super Bowl in having a lead, and I'm sure that he would shorten the game. They wouldn't have those 3 and outs and stuff like that to give Kansas City more opportunities, give them more possessions. But I think if Kansas City is able to get out to a lead, I think that San Francisco will be in trouble. My only concern is I don't know if Kansas City can deal with San Francisco's offense. That's my only concern.
Okay, Louis, you have a question.
Yeah, Mel, I think honestly you see great offenses, kind of thrive on running a very balanced attack. We saw Kansas City obviously do that last few years, and Tennessee did it for most of the playoffs before they ran into the Chiefs. But wouldn't you argue that the team who establishes the run game early is the one that I think is the early favorite to win this game?
Yeah, I mean, whoever can dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I mean, the game is won on the line of scrimmage. Whoever can win the line of scrimmage is the team that's going to win the game. So if San Francisco is able to dominate the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball, that sets them up for what they'd like to do, which is play with a lead. And those first rounders that they have on the defensive line, they can pin their ears back and rush the passer. But vice versa, conversely, rather, if I believe that the Chiefs are able to get up by a couple touchdowns, their running game is not as good as San Francisco's, but they don't turn the ball over. They take care of the ball, and when they possess the ball, they get points. And the key is when they possess the ball, they have to get points, and it needs to be touchdowns and not field goals. In the last 2 weeks, that's what they've been able to do. They've been able to possess the ball and get points. Now, when you have an empty possession, that hurts, especially in a game like this here where the possessions are going to be somewhat condensed and every possession matters. That's what they have to understand. Every possession matters. You can't have any wasted possessions. You can't have 3 and outs. 3 and outs hurt, especially when you're playing a team against San Francisco that can run the ball the way that they run it. That means that the clock is continuing to run, and that means the game is going to be shorter. That means you're not going to get as many opportunities. You're not going to have as many possessions. But if you take them out of that game plan, make Jimmy Garoppolo have to drop back and pass, he's going to turn the ball over once or twice. And that's going to give you some more possessions and an opportunity to score and to widen that lead that you've established in the first half or the first quarter.
So, Mel, you view this as a pick'em game, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I would look at it as a pick'em game, to be honest with you. And only, like I said, because I just don't know. San Francisco is a very good football team. And I just don't know. I know that the Kansas City played against Tennessee very well. Henry did get off a little bit in the first quarter, but they were able to shut him down later on. This isn't Tennessee. And Garoppolo is not can't think of the quarterback's name. He's not that guy either.
He's not Ryan Tannehill. Right.
Correct. So, and Kansas City does a much better – San Francisco does a much better job of mixing things up than what Tennessee does. They have the ability to do it. Now, they haven't done it lately because they haven't had to.
Right.
When they played Green Bay, they didn't have to. But they have the ability to do that. And Kyle Shanahan, he's a great offensive coordinator. There's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's going to be a lot of things going on in the backfield, trying to figure out what the defense is doing pre-snap so that he can get the right players in the right position to make the plays. But, like I said, if Kansas City gets out early because nobody can deal with those wide receivers. They got a whole lot of speed at wide receiver. And Kansas City's a big play team. They're not one of those teams that's going to have 10, 12, 15-yard drives. They're a big play, big opportunity team. It's going to be a big play, so it's going to be a quick strike. And the thing that bothers me about Kansas City is they're not committed to the run game. I know Andy Reid, they always say he likes to run. They run the pass.
Right.
But they're a throwing football team, and they're not very committed to the run game. And that is worrisome because when you do get a lead, you do need to be able to run the football. And then you need to be able to switch it up a little bit too. I mean, you got to keep the defense honest, and that's what San Francisco is going to be able to do, especially in that play-action game if they're running the ball real well the way they've run it the last couple of weeks.
Now, some of the observations I have going into the game, and you kind of touched on it, now I want to elaborate. This is a game that could really be a high-scoring game where the offenses definitely take over, and you take into consideration that Kansas City's defense isn't that good, albeit they've added Steve Spagnuolo as the defensive coordinator, Terrell Suggs, and the Honey Badger. But still, we could be seeing some fireworks. And of course, you mentioned that Kyle Shanahan has learned his lessons from his previous experience with the Atlanta Falcons. So what type of score do you think that this game could wind up becoming?
I mean, it could be high 30s, low 40s, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If nobody's able to stop anybody. And I'm not all that impressed with San Francisco defense. I mean, their front line is formidable. But as far as the secondary, they can't keep up with Kansas City's wide receivers. The big thing is, are they going to be able to get to Mahomes? If Kansas City's able to protect Mahomes and he gets extra time back there in the backfield, I don't care who they have back there in the secondary, they're not going to be able to keep up with those wide receivers. I mean, you can't give Pat Mahomes, you can't give him 4, 5, 6 seconds to throw the football because those guys are going to eventually get open.
True. All right, we might as well talk about another subject, which is certainly getting a fair amount of attention, at least on tonight's program. And I agree with you when we spoke earlier. Me, personally, I think the Kobe Bryant tragedy is a bit overloaded, but yet it's a news story that we have to talk about. So what are your thoughts about what took place with Kobe Bryant?
I mean, obviously it's tragic. It's unexpected. And, I look at it from a different standpoint. I know when my dad passed away 4 years ago, my Facebook notifications, friend requests, I was getting 10 friend requests a minute for 48 hours. Then it slowed down to I might get 5 per minute for the next 48 hours. And my perspective at that particular time, it was very difficult for me to see anything related to my dad at that particular. And everybody grieves differently, and so I'm thinking of it really from a family standpoint. Of there's more people that are affected than just Kobe Bryant. There was 8 other souls that were lost as well. But from the family perspective, I don't know how that helps them in their healing process,
right? By
constantly seeing him all the time. And not to say that their TV's on, but I don't know how that helps them. I think a lot of the stuff that's going on is really for the people who are left behind. You ask a guy, how did you feel when Kobe Bryant passed away? Well, I mean, how do you think he felt? I mean, the guy, the people are devastated. His close friends are devastated. I think the news media is just real callous when it comes to that. I don't think they're. In my opinion, I mean, yeah, he was a great man, but I mean, there was also, like I said, there was 8 other people that perished as well.
Right.
That had families, and they were important to those individuals. They may not have been on the level of Kobe Bryant, but that doesn't, they're not really showing any respect to those individuals. So I think the news media is very self-serving and very selfish and very insensitive in dealing with this particular subject. Yeah, it's a tragedy. But at the end of the day, before, it was predestined that day was Kobe's day in all of their days. And we're all going to experience that same fate. When the doctor pulls you out the womb and smacks you in the booty and you cry and you draw your first breath, that's you signing the contract realizing that someday you're going to draw your last breath.
Right.
You may get one breath or you may get millions of breaths in between. But at some point in the day, we're all going to meet that fate, and it's all predestined. It's all predetermined. Unfortunately, that was Kobe's day. Now, for the family, they've got to adjust to this new normal. And that's the only thing that I don't like about the continuous coverage of his passing. Just from my personal experience in dealing with, when my dad passed away, they want to do phone the next day. I mean, they're wanting to do phone interviews and all that kind of stuff from Detroit.
Right.
And, the first thing I want to ask you, well, how did you feel? Well, I mean, I'm human just like everybody else.
Right.
I feel the same way that anybody else would feel when they lose a loved one. it's going to be devastating.
Right.
And really, at that point in time, you really don't know how it feels because you're still trying to really process it.
Right.
How your life is going to be. Because at that point in time, your life is totally different from how you've known it in the past. So I just feel the news media is just real insensitive when it comes to coverage on this particular situation. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of gets overwhelming. And if somebody was on the ledge and feeling a little bit suicidal, this pushing right over the ledge.
All right, 2 points I want to bring up. 2 points I want to bring up. Number one, and we don't have a lot of time, but I want to make sure I get them out there. All the reports I'm hearing is a lot of this is due to negligence, pilot error, and some of the reports I'm hearing now that the helicopter was going about 180 miles an hour. We all both know about the questionable weather. So, to me, Southern California is known for smoggy conditions. And then when you talk about pilot error factoring in, it validates that you're saying that was definitely going to be Kobe's last day and his last breath, along with the other folks that passed away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, it's like we talked about. I mean, if it's raining on the highway, you're not going 80 because you can't see.
Right.
Slow down. So why is he going 160 miles an hour in the fog?
Right.
In that type of condition, that type of terrain, I don't care if he was just following the 5 freeway.
Right.
If you can't see what's in front of you, why are you going that fast? And these helicopters, they can go they can hover. You can coast along at 5, 10, 15 miles an hour. So, I mean, I don't understand that at all. So, I mean, yeah, it definitely sounds like this is something that really did not have to happen. And I guess that's what makes it so tragic and so sad. But I think on top of Kobe passing, just think about those kids,
Right.
His daughter and the 2 other kids on there. That's what makes it, And then obviously, you have all other kind of questions that go through your head. And I think the news media is just real nosy about certain things. They want a lot of information that's really none of their business. These people are hurt. I mean, these people's lives are changed forever. And all they can think about is a news story. Just like when they reported that, that Rick Fox was on the plane. And I see the one guy got suspended from ABC, which I'm glad, because when I was talking to my mother, and I said, Mom, it says all 4 of his daughters were on the helicopter with him. Then I'm trying to get confirmation as to whether or not all 4 of his daughters were on there.
Right.
So in the haste to be first, they were reporting, news that's not correct, fake news.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My heart dropped when I heard that. Man, all 4 of his kids were on there.
Right. Oh, well, let me just say this.
So then I'm trying to do the math and all that. I mean, I'm doing the math. They said there was 9 people on there. Well, first they said there was 5 people on there, so I'm doing the math.
Right.
I said, no, that math ain't gonna work. 4 kids, pilot, Kobe. That's more than 5 already, right there.
Right.
So I'm, the math wasn't working out.
Well, let me mention this real quickly, and then I'm going to ask you for a Super Bowl prediction. We got about 2 minutes to get all this done. Many years ago, during the Ronald Reagan assassination attempt, Frank Reynolds ripped everybody in his own organization for getting it wrong. He says, I don't care about getting it first, I want to get it right. And I gained an enormous amount of respect for Frank Reynolds. Secondly, we'll close it out on this. I need your Super Bowl prediction, Mel. Score. Winner.
To be honest with you, I'm gonna be honest. I'm pulling for Kansas City because I like Andy Reid. I'd like to see him win one. He went to 4 straight NFC Championship games, broke through and went to a Super Bowl one year. Didn't win it though. I'm pulling for Kansas City, so I'm gonna stick with Kansas City, and I don't see it as being close as the odds makers. Now I'm not an odds maker, but I got it. I think that Kansas City's going to hang 42 on them, so I look at it to being about 42-27.
And by the way, Mel, I was at that game in Jacksonville when Andy Reid lost to the New England Patriots. So we'll put a ribbon on that prediction, and when we bring it back again, we'll find out if indeed Kansas City is drinking the bubbly. So, Mel, thank you very much for being on the Sports Exchange tonight. Glad to have you with us, and we look forward to your next appearance on the program. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Yep, have a good night. Mel. Thank you.
Bye.
Some thoughts about what Mel had to say.
I mean, I'd kind of love to see a high-scoring Super Bowl. We saw it with, New England and Philadelphia 2 years ago, but that Super Bowl was trash the way that the next year's one was against New England and the Rams because of how low scoring that game was. It's like you're either going to play defense or you're not. But I think you just have two really balanced teams going at it here, to where, you know what, like if this is a 27-30 game and team's winning at that score by 3, that's going to be one of the more interesting Super Bowls in recent memory. I'm pulling for Kansas City too because I think Andy Reid is kind of like, one of those coaches